Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Anthony Keyvan about Exo Kitty, which is dropping worldwide on Netflix May 18th. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, it's so exciting. It's crazy because you film a show, you go to Korea, you film the show, you wrap, and then it's just kind of like the waiting game. And you've done this for other projects as well, but like, it's pretty crazy, right? When you get like the release date, you're like, wow, like this is coming out in 2 weeks, right? Like it's pretty overwhelming.
It's definitely a surreal feeling. I mean, on my last show, I'm used to like filming it and then it be out 3-4 months later. This was not the case for Exo Kitty. I filmed it. We put our blood, sweat, and tears into it for 4 months, and then it was like radio silent for like a good 8 months. And then in February, we found out when the release date was, and even then, it felt like a long time away. But here it is. It's literally like 13 days away. And it's just crazy to feel like, oh my gosh, finally our hard work is going to be able to be seen by people.
When you're auditioning for this, like officially, even like before your cast and everything, how much do you know? Because I feel like it depends on the project. Sometimes you know a lot about the audition and sometimes you don't know, right? Like, did you know it was like part of the To All the Boys universe? Like, did you know it was Exo Kitty? Like, I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, the show had already been announced, I believe, like
Okay.
a year before, it being in development. So I knew about the show. I knew that it was the To All the Boys spinoff, and I knew that it was centering Kitty. I didn't know anything else really. They didn't provide any scripts at first. For the most part, it was pretty hush hush, until I started getting like a little bit further in the process. That's when I was like, okay, I think I need to read a script now so I know what I'm doing here. And they sent me the script and I fell in love with the story, and I had a meeting with Jenny and Sasha. I asked them questions about, where they were seeing the season to go, and everything that they were saying just kind of like felt right.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I finished Love Victor and started this show.
It's so crazy too because of the fact that, you know, Love Victor was on Hulu and in other countries was available on like Disney Plus and Star, and then now you're going to be on Exo Kitty, which is going to be on Netflix. It's pretty amazing, right? To look at, you've been able to work on these shows that are able to kind of like reach so many people worldwide, right? Like instantly. Like it's a pretty crazy feeling, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what's crazy about living in a world where we are surrounded by streamers everywhere. So yeah, it's a weird feeling to be like anyone in the world can see this, see what we've done. And it's just kind of like surreal and exciting and nerve-wracking all at the same time.
I'm gonna get a little kind of deep and philosophical bit on this next question, but it's an important question because I find it very interesting when I watch shows like Exo Kitty. I really think about this a lot. So basically, in like your character and a lot of characters like Kitty, I feel like there's so much kind of figuring out and self-reflection and soul searching happening because everyone is just kind of growing up and figuring everything out and kind of just thrown in situations and have to kind of pivot and everything. During the pandemic, we had a lot of we did a lot of self-reflection, Anthony, because we had the time to do so, right? We were at home doing it. So I feel like shows like Exo Kitty, where you see these characters that are trying to figure things out and they have the opportunities to kind of think about their next move. I feel like it becomes like instantly more relatable because during the pandemic we were doing a lot of self-reflection. Have you thought about any of that at all? Like, I'm just curious about that because that's how I look at shows a lot now, especially like kind of coming of age slice of life.
Of course, yeah, I think it's given me a better perspective, honestly, after coming out of the pandemic on like what it's like to process emotions and thought processes and stuff like that. And I feel like the pandemic, at least for me, during that time, I did a lot of work on myself and I figured out a lot about myself and how I work as a person. And at the same time, I kind of had to go through that again when I was in Seoul because COVID had impacted the country a lot worse, than maybe we had seen it too. So um, that also gave me time while also simultaneously working on the show to really like discover a lot about myself. Being isolated in a country that you don't know for 4 months gives you a lot of time to think about these things. And it helped me realize like how small a lot of my problems actually were. So the show I feel like came at a really great time
Yep.
for me personally.
Mhm.
And I also feel like it helped me translate that to my
Yep.
character as well. Because we also see these characters going through very similar life changes and things that they have to come to terms with. So yeah, I really do think that perspective helped me a lot working on the show.
And getting back to what I was saying about being thrown in kind of situations, I mean, your character, everything like at the boarding school, there's just a lot of kind of situations with like Kitty's kind of room status and everything, and like with her boyfriend and everything. What is also that like for you seeing in the script as an actor? Like situations where like there has to be kind of what I said, like pivots and like quick kind of thinking and everything, because a lot of situations like your character, there's kind of a little bit of kind of issues with the relationship, a little bit, and you suspect cheating and everything. I'm just curious, like, is that fun as an actor, kind of seeing a lot of kind of the tension and kind of quick pace of a lot of these
Oh yeah,
relationships?
that's
Yeah.
the most exciting part,
Yeah.
I feel like, is getting to deal with real emotions
Mhm.
and channeling a lot of your own life experiences into what you're doing. I feel like that's what a lot of art expression is.
Mhm.
So yeah, absolutely. That's really the only thing that keeps me going in this is like getting to play with that kind of stuff. That's what's really fun about what I do.
It's gonna drop May 18th worldwide. Like, part of the gig, we do research, see what's out there. It's gonna be crazy. Like, people are gonna watch it, and it's gonna be nuts because depending on the time zones, people are already gonna have binged it when you
I
woke
know.
up. You know what I mean? Which is, I think, the craziest thing.
It's wild to think. It's so crazy to think because all 10 episodes are going to be out there and they will be, you can sit and watch them within like 4 hours. So,
I don't think you can ever officially prepare yourself for things like that because it's one of those kind of crazy situations where it's your show and then on May 18th it's out of your hands and it's the world show. But
mm,
do you feel like you have a grasp of the possibilities of what can happen being on Love Victor? Because Love Victor was crazy. Like the reception was incredible worldwide.
yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
I mean, this might be on a different scale than that. I would say.
I
Um,
think so. Yeah.
yeah. To be honest, I don't like to think too much about
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
No.
That's not really why I do what I do.
Yep.
And in all honesty, like that kind of stuff does scare me a little
Yeah.
bit, but I know it comes with the job. It's what I signed up
Yep.
for, and I'm just gonna roll with the punches, see what happens. I have no
That's a
expectations.
good attitude to have. I feel like naturally there becomes this like you said, it's a job and everything. And then sometimes, depending on the actor's situation, there might be another project that they're working on while that show comes out. Like, it really depends on the situation. And sometimes you just, like, maybe not zone up, but sometimes you're just kind of like on to another project. You're not thinking much about it at all, right?
Yeah, I mean, at some point, like with any career,
Yeah.
some of this becomes like autopilot in a way. I this is what I do, and this is what I signed up for, and this is what yeah, I'm supposed to accept everything that comes with it. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely am noticing a lot of positive like reception of this show. So it is exciting to see and definitely at a much different scale than what Love Victor was. So it's kind of cool to see, you know, what that could mean. But
Yeah.
again, like I'm just here to do my job,
Yep.
and if the show is a success, then amazing, then we
Yeah.
did our job well, you know?
Absolutely, 100%. Were there like specific learning experiences that you can share with me working on Exo Kitty? Because every time, whether you worked on a set for like 1 year or 30 years, I feel like every time you work on a set, there's going to be learning experiences naturally all the time. You're always going to be learning. What specifically did you learn working on Exo Kitty, Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this since I was 5, and I honestly believe that I knew everything I needed to know about what I was doing. I mean, I'm like, I could do this with my eyes closed, but honestly, filming the show, it proved completely otherwise, that there's still so much to learn. I'm constantly learning and evolving as an actor, as a person. Um, and honestly, like just navigating filming a show in another country where they don't speak English, during a pandemic, is really hard.
Yeah.
So I learned how to work under much different circumstances than I'm used to. And I had to learn how to adjust and acclimate properly. I feel like a lot of times actors get very comfortable in what they're doing. And at that time, I think I was comfortable. So it really pushed my boundaries. It really made me think differently. I learned because I was away from home, I learned how to advocate for myself too, which was something I was not used to doing. I learned that I could say no to things and I could also speak up when I feel like things weren't going right. And ultimately, all of that was just for, pushing the show forward in the grand scheme of things. So I learned how to kind of like step up a little bit more and not take so much of a back seat as a cast member.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about myself and what I'm capable of.
100%. No, it's such a great answer. And, like last question before we wrap up, but like I'm a big believer of like going in fresh watching stuff. I mean, obviously people go and watch trailers and everything, but I'm a true believer if you don't know much about the project, you just go watch it and everything. You're bet. So that's why I haven't asked specific kind of like plot questions and stuff because I like people kind of going in fresh. But
Mm.
did you see it as kind of a unique opportunity to be part of this show? Because with the fact that it's like there's familiar territory and unfamiliar territory at the same time. There's familiar territory a little bit because it's part of a universe that we know a little bit about already because of the movies on Netflix. But then the other scheme of things, like there's unfamiliar territory because we don't know your character, we don't know the boarding school that much and everything. So it's like an interesting, unique storytelling opportunity. I feel like for Anthony Keyvan because you know some things, but at the same time you have no idea as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it was constantly changing and evolving. We would get new drafts of scripts every day, and it was just like, it was just a very big like learning
Yeah.
experience for me. I growing up, I'd always have my mom on set with me until I could drive myself. And then even when I was driving myself to set, it was in LA. So I was still close to home. This was the first time where I felt like I was able to like really make decisions on my own
Mhm.
regarding my character, regarding my the show in general. And you're right, it was a very exciting, like I had known about, the To All the Boys um universe before, but it was exciting to like really dive into something that was so different for me, especially being on a cast that is completely AAPI. I
Yes.
had never seen something like that
Nope.
before, so it was almost like a no-brainer. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this show because there's nothing on TV like this, and I want to be one of the first, actors to be on a show like this.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's it, and it's so crazy. I'm so excited for everyone to see it May 18th, drop worldwide on Netflix. That's XO Kitty. Anthony, thank you so much for your time. It was so great chatting with you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Yeah, so all episodes dropping May 18th on Netflix worldwide. At your Instagram account, if people want to keep up to date with everything, is it just your name, or if they search your name, they'll find it, or?
Yep, it's just at Anthony Kayvon. No craziness.
Perfect. Yeah. Awesome. Well, this has been Popternative. YouTube.com/Popturn for previous episodes. Anthony Keyvan will be starring in Exo Kitty, dropping worldwide May 18th on Netflix. Until next time, this is Anthony and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.